Hey guys, thanks for stopping by, taking time to watch my video. My name is Chris Feathers. I'm pursuing my doctorate degree in school leadership through East Tennessee State University. One of the assignments that we have been given is to invite four of our favorite authors to our dinner party. And so I'd like to take this opportunity to introduce you to the authors that I have invited, share a little bit about their background, and maybe provide some of the reasoning for my invitation and some of the questions that I might ask to guide our instruction. So, the first author I would like to introduce you to tonight is Mike Lupica. Mike is one of the most prominent sports writers in America. Currently, he is a syndicated columnist for the New York Daily News. His professional resume includes magazines, novels, sports biographies co-written with Reggie Jackson and Bill Parcells, other nonfiction books on sports and television. He has several young adult novels on the national bestseller list, such as Heat, Travel Team, and Summer Ball. And one of the reasons that I selected Mr. Lupica to attend tonight's dinner party is because I believe he has inspired a group of reluctant readers to become interested in reading by using sports as the driving force. We know a lot of young boys are hesitant to read. They have find difficulty in selecting books that they're interested in. But Mr. Lupica has opened up a whole new realm for them through the avenue of sports. Some of the questions that I would ask Mr. Lupica tonight is what, if any, inspiration do you use for your books? I want to know where he gets his inspiration. How much of your experiences, stories, etc., influence your writing? So, what things have you seen or been involved in sports writing that has had an influence on the stories that you've written? And last, what is your favorite book that you have written and why? The next author that I would like to introduce you to is Todd Whitaker. Mr. Whitaker is a well known author and public speaker on the topic of education. He has over 40 plus publications related to education. He has a national bestseller titled What Great Teachers Do Differently. And I know that several of our teachers here have read that book and apply its principles to their daily teaching. He has other well known titles such as Dealing with Difficult Teachers, 10-Minute in Service, Dealing with Difficult Parents, and my go to book as an administrator, What Great Principals Do Differently. This is a book that I enjoy referring back to, refreshing my memory on great strategies for being an effective administrator. Some of the questions I would like to ask Mr. Whitaker would be, who inspired him to be an educator? Does he have that one favorite teacher that he remembers that inspired him to be an educator? Also, did any of his favorite teachers or principals provide insight or influence in any of his books or any of his works? I'd like to know who he models himself after. And then what is his next educational topic that he wishes to address? So those are some questions that I would like to have answered from Todd Whitaker. The next author that I'd like to introduce you to is Tony Dungy. Tony Dungy is a noted professional football coach and author of two books, Quiet Strength and Uncommon. He is he is the first African American coach to win a Super Bowl with the team, the Indianapolis Colts. He's well respected by fans, players, and other coaches. He has risen to the top of his profession in spite of such obstacles as being fired, suffering through stereotypes, and the tragic loss of his son. One of his best quotes that I found is, "The secret to success is good leadership, and good leadership is all about making the lives of your team members or workers better." Some of the questions that I would like to ask Mr. Dungy was there ever a time when he felt like quitting? And if so, what made him keep going on? What was that inspired him to persevere? I'd like to ask him who were some of the people who influenced him to become a football coach and or a leader or now an author and community leader. And then what does he see as his biggest accomplishment? That's something that I'd like to know. That could be some type of event in his life, or it could possibly be even the inspiration that he has provided others through the books that he has written. And the last author that I would like to introduce you tonight is beloved children's author Shel Silverstein. He's written several different books of poetry. One of my favorite books authored by Mr. Silverstein is The Giving Tree. I just enjoy reading his books. When I was in the classroom, the poems that he wrote in Where the Sidewalk Ends were whimsical and fun. They were just lighthearted and they're just a joy to read. And I just would like sharing those with our students and just see their reactions as we read those and then the dialogue that it created. Some of the questions I'd like to ask him is, again, not to be redundant, but what was your inspiration for the books that you wrote? What was it that inspired you? One of his books, Falling Up, that was the last book that he wrote before his death, and has received a lot of accolades and a lot of attention. A little interesting fact about Mr. Silverstein that you may not know, he was also an accomplished songwriter and a playwright. One of the songs you might be familiar with is A Boy Named Sue, written for Johnny Cash. I just think about the authors that I've selected, the memories that can be created through the dialogue that we share during this dinner party, and the questions that are answered. Thank you for your time and attention to this video. I look forward to having my questions answered as we sit down and share a meal together, the authors and myself, and I hope that you have a good evening.